jackpot today. Amaña scale 11 stones 5 3/4 pounds. Price 11 stones 8 3/4 pounds. The referee for this contest, Mr. Harry Gibbs.
So there you are, £3 advantage then for Price. But I wouldn't have thought that bothers Amaña too much. And an old faithful referee, isn't he, Harry Gibbs? Lives in Essex. Cockney is pie and mash, really, but lives down here and often referees at the Johnny Levine promotions at Garons here. So scheduled for 10. And we'll see how much fight now Amaña has got left him. He's won his last 2. He lost a string of fights last year, but he seems to come back into the winning vein again. He's been a pro since 1976. He believes in carrying his name on his waistband there, Amaña, so we certainly won't have any trouble having to identify him. Yes, just a reminder from Gibbs, don't make him any lower than that as the fight goes on. There might have been a period when the Spaniard was becoming perhaps a bit of a trial horse last year, but he hasn't shown it this year, and he started to look a bit lively again, the way he started in the first round anyway. He didn't want to take stock too much of Price. Of course, that comes with experience. So it was difficult to say right at the start of a contest, Terry Marsh, but it's got perhaps the makings of a longish fight.
Each other out.
I think with Price, though, he scored 1 or 2 exciting knockouts in his time in the Amateur Commonwealth Games when he knocked out the Australian, and then recently with James Cook at Wembley. So just apologies if you had a blink or two on your pictures there, but we're back safe again. Well, I'm not sure which one of these two is safe. So he's shaking himself out, Terry, already, the Spaniard. It shows the old touch of experience. They're trying to loosen up.
Yeah, that does seem the case. The right-hand punch to the body seems to be his favourite punch at present. He's thrown it on a couple of occasions and proved successful.
Well, he might have been in a few wars in his time, but he's not carrying many battle scars. So the countdown for the end of the first. And he's smart enough, the Spaniard, to finish up in his own corner to save him the long walk home. Just glancing over his shoulder, as it were, there, Price, to say, how's he looking in the other corner, that fellow? I want to have a good look at him. There it is, the rundown on the statistics. Former amateur champion in 80, defeated Nick Wilshire. And back in 1979, he defeated Mark Kaler, the present British middleweight champion. So there it is then, the amazing statistics, really, of Amaña. He really is the have gum shield, will travel type, this one. As I say, he's beaten a couple of previous champions, Pat Thomas and Henry Riney, and went the full 12 rounds with Tony Simpson in Bilbao. So that was quite a creditable performance. Second round. And I wouldn't have thought Harry Gibbs is going to have much trouble with these two fairly seasoned pros. And after all, Jimmy Price always boxed at the top in the amateurs as well. In terms of learning his business, Terry, this could be an ideal match really for Jimmy Price.
Yeah, it certainly could, because with the experience that Amaña's got, it probably stretch Jimmy to his full ability and give him a few things to think about. But the way things are going at the moment, I think he's got it in good hand, and if I was in his corner, I'd be quite happy.
He hits a little bit with the inside of the glove, the Spaniard. He doesn't give the impression of being, as they say in the game, a big banger. But then again, I'm not taking them. They all hurt one way and another, right, Terry? You know.
I would agree with that, yes.
Well, as a bit of a chess player yourself, Terry, I think that's what Jimmy's trying to do here, just make his moves steadily, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's trying to back Amaña up onto the ropes and then let go. In fact, I think he was trying to do it and set him up with the right hand, or the left hand being a southpaw.
There you are, you see, I told you when you became champion, you don't know your left from right. Strange, really, although we got many southpaws around now, including world champions. There's never been a southpaw heavyweight champion. And there are still a lot of boxers who have a great prejudice against having to fight them. Do you feel the same way?
In fact, I'm the opposite. I must admit, I do like fighting southpaws.
Well, at least referee Gibbs hasn't got to go in there and physically part them, and look at the stage anyway, they're going to listen to the orders. It's amazing the way he backs himself into the corner like that, Amaña. I mean, if he's trying to trap Price, it isn't working. And it's a bit dangerous. Well, there's a reminder clip around the ear anyway. So coming up to the end of the second then, and really Price getting into punch range. So in replay there, you see that he's just trying to find the leading right arm and then follow through with, as Terry Marsh said, with the left hand, which is the right cross for a southpaw. So there's George Patrick working there in Jimmy's corner. How much do you listen to these fellows, Terry, when you get them in there like that?
Well, it depends on how the fight's going. If you're on the receiving end of the punches, you're quite welcome to take any advice that's going. If you're on top, you're inclined to be quite happy and sit back on your laurels.
Very eloquently put, I must say. Sometimes they swear a bit in the corner, don't they? I don't think
Round 3.
Third round. And a question then of Price and Amaña sorting each other out as it goes along. It looks fairly evenly matched. I would say that Price is the stiffer puncher. It's always good against amateur boxing, Terry, and you were certainly a star at that game. They don't use the ring as much, the pros. They try to stay in distance more.
Yeah, that is the case. Well, in fact, with Amaña, he's inclined to go from one corner to the other, being followed around by Price. Jimmy is following, trying to pick his shots as opposed to just rushing in and committing himself, though, which I think is a wise move at this stage of the fight.
So a minute gone in the Well, you can understand why the Spaniard doesn't get marked up too quickly in fights. He knows how to take care of himself a bit. But, yeah, as you say, he backs into the corner. He seems to feel comfortable there, which is surprising. So the crowd now have been very patient, haven't they, so far, but they're now deciding they're going to give Price a bit of verbal help. And it's always easier to do that from the safe side of the ropes, of course. Minute to go. Well, I don't know whether the Spaniard understands any English, but certainly Mr. Gibbs said break when you're told. It's amazing, really, the way he gets, I don't know, caught in the corners. He almost welcomes him in the corner. I hope this is not a question of the spider and the fly, Terry.
I think it is, and I think Jimmy's aware of this, and this is why he isn't well, he's reluctant to actually commit himself when he goes into the corners. As I say, he's just happy to stay behind the punches and look for his openings and pick his shots.
Haven't really seen any sign of the Spaniard's hard punch yet. Got to bring the punches up a bit, I would have thought, Price. He can't afford to throw punches over a ducking fighter like that. So there he is, just getting the old wash and brush up treatment between rounds, and he's looking down at ringside as if to say, well, I've done this all before, it's just another night's work. Andoni Amaña Sayers is his final name, but he doesn't actually use that. He's 31. Born in Salamanca. He's a good fighter to work with, I would have thought, the Spaniard, Terry, in the gymnasium. You wouldn't mind that, would you?
Yeah, I'd imagine, say, he's very experienced, quite cagey, and he's been around, so he knows a hell of a lot.
So there's close-up of the trainer, who always seems to have to take more sticks sometimes than the boxers. They feed it all. It's good to see only one man working in the ring and not crowd in the corners. Round 4. Well, some of the crowd might be saying jab Jim, but it's easier said than done because Spaniard slips a punch well. There you are, I see ducks and dives a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Harry Gibbs doesn't say, hey, no ducking below the belt line. Is illegal.
Pushing back.
He's trying that right-hand counter-punch, Terry, isn't he, Amaña?
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to lure Jimmy in when he's on the ropes and then throwing the right hand like he did just then. But I feel that Jimmy's wise to it and he's taking the appropriate action.
Pushing back, Jim.
Well, that was a good shot there with the left hand. That's the first time that he's really caught the Spaniard with a long left hand right on the point of the chin. And he's just cut around the left eye now, Amaña. It's not a bad one. None of them are good, Terry.
Yeah, that is the case, but Jimmy being a southpaw with his right jab, it's on the side of the right jab, and I notice now he's increasing the work with his right hand, which could do a lot more damage to the eye.
Go on, Jimmy! Go on, Jim! Go on, Jim!
Yeah, he's putting them together well in this round, Price. It's the first time he's really picked his punches properly, and it's getting a bit rougher now.
Step it up, Jim. Come on. Let him go. Break. Pull out. Step it up now.
Well, that was a wild punch there. That's a little bit of desperation coming in from Amaña.
Go back. Behind the jab.
Oh, full marks to the Spaniard. And now Price has been cut over the right eye. There was certainly a little bit of bumping and boring going on in there. It was a good shot, wasn't it? The left-hand uppercut. Maybe Price knows that he's been cut and wants to try and take him out. It's warmed up now to a much harder fight in the fourth. Well, they've got a matching set, haven't they? Both around the eyebrows, Terry.
Yeah, it seems a bit of a dilemma at the moment for both of them. In fact, I don't think that we'll be able to assess what really happens until they get back to the corner and see who's got the worst cut.
Well, this is where the seconds have to quickly get to work there with the adrenaline swabs. But as boxing goes, I mean, that doesn't look much of a cut at all. I'm sure the seconds are used to taking care of those. There it is, you see. And the same with Amaña. Of course, none of them are welcomed by any chance. I always like to see a contest go all the way without any cuts, but I would suspect there that they just clashed heads a couple of times when it roughed up, Terry.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case. They do seem like slight nicks, and I don't think it should affect them in any way at the moment.
In the green, that's the manager, Pedro Ayabri. Very difficult one to say. Sounds more like an anagram than a manager.
Round 5.
Fifth round. And for cleaner punching then, Price on top.
Go on, Jim.
Yeah, he's still maintaining command at the moment. I think he's won every round. And if he can continue as he's going, things should be okay for him.
He's always giving him a rumble, the Spaniard. That's what I like about it. He's taking some good punches and trying to come back.
Push it back. Push it back.
He won his last fight in the first round, Amaña, in defence of the Spanish Championship. So he's on a bit of a hot streak. A little uppercut from Price is the one to watch, I think, with the left hand. He does a bit of damage with that one. Oh, they were two well-planted punches. He flails a bit, doesn't he, Amaña, Terry? I don't think he's carrying too much power in those blows.
Yeah, he seems to not want to know when it comes to a trade of punches. It always seems to be out of distance or close inside, were the two safe places for a fighter to be.
Thing is, he must have some durability because he hung in there back in '81 against Tony Simpson, and he really can bang a bit when he's in a title shot.
It certainly is the case, and it is a result to be proud of for him.
Yeah, he's getting to work a bit now. He's a little bit concerned about that cut, though. Wiping the blood away as he went in there. So he really knows he's got to open up Price. And I noticed the referee just had a glance as he backed off Terry.
Yes, the thing the referee's got to look at, no doubt, for the rest of the fight, he'll be looking at both fighters' eyes and keep, if you pardon the pun, keeping a close eye on them.
We'll do our best to forgive you. Yes, as it's your first time. It's been a good round for Jimmy Price, nonetheless. He's always been, as they would say in the dressing rooms, the governor. Half a minute to go in the fifth. Scheduled for 10. And just to re-identify then, it's Jimmy Price, the southpaw in the green trunks, against the Spanish champion, Andoni Amaña.
Behind the elbow. Come on. You're nice and busy now. Come on. Behind the elbow.
Well, certainly he looked a bit concerned, didn't he, in that round? You know, as one fighter to another, you knew then that he was a little bit concerned about the
Oh yeah, it's a thing that's always going to be in the back of his mind throughout the rest of the fight. And I think this is probably why he's stepping up the pace. He's always been in charge of the fight, but as the fight is progressing, he's becoming more and more dominant and, to use your words, more of the governor.
Let's have a look then at replay there. Some punches. They're the long punches. They were the two that I said were well planted, and it turned out that way in replay. thing is with a cut, Terry, obviously the only fellow in the place who doesn't know what it's like is the guy in the corner. The crowd can see more, and obviously the referee. Does that bother you much? Or actually, you haven't been cut much?
Well, yes, I've been unfortunate enough to be cut on a couple of occasions, and it is a great bother. It's always something that sticks in the back of your mind.
6th round. And we did say from the start it had the makings of a longish fight, Terry, and he's a good old journeyman, Amaña. He doesn't seem to be doing a lot of damage at all, but he's a good journeyman.
Oh, it seems the case. He don't seem a threat to Jimmy, but as you say, he does appear to be hanging on in there all the time. Jimmy's picking his shots very well. He doesn't waste a lot of punches. When he throws, he does seem to connect. But the Spaniard always seems to be there.
There you go. Pinned in the corner again. It really is amazing. It suits him. I mean, Ali, of course, used the old rope-a-dope, as he called it. But not as much as this fellow, keep backing into corners all the time.
On the elbow. Behind his elbow.
That's the little shot inside that stops the man holding on, I promise you that one.
It's proven very successful throughout the fight.
It's a bit blooded from the nose as well now, Jimmy Price, but he's opened that little combination up well there. And he's showing a few scars of battle now, Amaña. It's getting reddened around the face. Some of that is the blood coming from Jimmy Price's face, actually. Bleeding quite heavily from the nose, Terry. Probably having trouble breathing.
Yeah, I'd imagine it is a problem, but the nosebleed really is only superficial, and it's the least of his worries at the moment, I would say.
I love you, champions. Only superficial with their nosebleeds. I think I might call for St John's ambulance if that were me. Minute to go then, in the 6th. Notice that they're looking for the shots inside there. They're not trying not to hold on, and Harry Gibbs is giving him as long as he can in there. As Rodney Frazier said, he's not used to watching the upright boxers, but these two are giving it much more of American style, getting stuck in with what's known as the inside work. Turned out a hard fight, Terry.
Yeah, it has. Insane. It's a hard fight. It's a grueling one with Jimmy, but as I say, he's well on top. I think it's nearly one-way traffic, but at the same time, with that nagging injury, there's always that doubt in one's mind.
So as we go back for them to clean up in that corner there, Steve Ryder's having a word with Price's manager, Frank Warren.
Frank Warren alongside Jimmy Price's corner here. First of all, the news of his cut. Does it look bad to you?
No, the eye doesn't look too bad. They've done quite a good job on it. In fact, I didn't think he was bleeding too much in the last round. He's got more blood coming from his nose than anything, but that always looks worse than it is from the nose. But the eye doesn't seem that bad.
Fight in general, to your mind, going to plan?
Yeah, I think he's doing well. He's doing a nice job. He's getting behind his jab, working his way and throwing some nice body shots, and occasionally bringing up a nice uppercut on the inside. I think he should just step it up a bit more, and hopefully, they'll stop the fight.
Yeah, that briefly will be your instruction for the rest of the fight. Just keep up the pace.
He's got to step it up a little bit more, I think. But
Frank?
Other than that, he's doing very well.
Indeed. Frank, thanks very much.
So there you are. They're really having to work hard. It's quite gruesome in that corner. They're only minor, really, in boxing terms, but these seconds have really got to staunch those things. So round 7. And yes, I agree with the manager there. He's got to step the pace up a little bit, Terry.
Yeah,
he has done once or twice, and then he's kind of abandoned it.
Yeah, I think it's true to the opponent because he nullifies a lot of things that Jimmy tries to do. Like he's just done there, for example. He goes in and makes a tangle.
Well, that's why he's been a survivor all this time, you see. Still hasn't really brought those punches up when he's caught the Spaniard ducking like that. It's a little touch of the matador, really. He's got to pull the punches up, get Amaña's head up a bit more. I can't remember a fighter that's hid in the corners as much as this. Actually, he doesn't even hide.
Yeah, well, if you say, all he seems to do is go from one corner to the next. In fact, I don't know why he bothers coming out of the corner at the beginning of each round. He might as well stay there.
Well, yeah, as long as he doesn't bring the stool with him, that's all. They've patched up the Spaniard's cut very well. He hasn't had any trouble with that since.
Yeah, I've been looking at that, and it seems to have, well, stopped very nicely.
It does sometimes take a round or two to coagulate the adrenaline. Good shot there, the crowd knew it, and certainly the Spaniard knew it. See, now that's ducking below the belt. I would have thought Harry Gibbs might be in on that one, but he hasn't bothered yet, but he will do, I think. Minute to go in this round. Can Jimmy Price do it? It looks as though he's done it. He's taken all he could there, Amaña, but the referee was absolutely right. He dived in, and Price pulled out of the fire what was beginning to look a bit of a difficult fight.